Did you know that Maimonides has a meditative technique? Maimonides, or Rambam in Hebrew, was born in Cordova, Spain in 1138 and died in Cairo in 1204. He was a leading rabbinic authority, codifier, and royal physician. He's considered to have been the greatest Jewish philosopher of all times. In his magnum opus, Guide of the Perplexed, he recommends a meditative focus of awareness with the purpose of receiving divine inspiration, linking up to Divine Providence, and creating devekut, intense love and attachment to God. Let's see, we have here his book, Natan Ophir, with the translation into Hebrew of Michael Schwartz. His meditative guidance can be found here in this book in part 3, chapters 51 to 52. Now, the Rambam was very good at metaphors to describe spiritual experiences. Chapter 51 opens with a parable of trying to enter the Sultan's palace. Some people are simply pointed in the wrong direction, or they can't even find the entrance, and maybe they don't even know that the palace exists. Others might make their ways to the door and even enter the palace, but they can't find the right rooms, they can't find the king, they can't make their way past the guards. Only a select few are able to enter the presence of the master, who in this analogy is the one who controls the flow of the entire universe. If you learn how to contact Divine Providence, then you can live in devekut with continuous guidance, joy, and love. So how can we enter this palace and receive the divine guidance? The Rambam provides a metaphor of sun and clouds. Many people are shrouded in darkness and never envision the light. But the sun is there shining all the time. All we need to do is go outside and sit in the sun and receive its energy, light, and warmth. In his analogy in chapter 51, the Rambam explains that sometimes there are clouds in the sky, but we can learn how to dispel the clouds and then receive the divine influx. Another metaphor that he gives in the guide in part 2, chapter 12, is a fountain flowing with water. This he calls shefa, the divine influx. It overflows from all sides, rejuvenating those far and near. It's called shefa, or flow, based on the imagery of a fountain that's simply flowing continuously. But it depends on the recipient, how we can receive this influx. The Rambam distinguishes 11 different degrees of reception of the influx, beginning with a simple, basic level of inspiration that just about anyone can attain, progressing to much higher levels of spiritual perception, being able to use our inner hearing to hear voices or perceive angelic messages, and continuing up to seeing spiritual seeing spiritual images. So what is his method? We have here our booklet where we describe his method, which he calls hitbodedut, literally meaning quieting the external sensory input, settling the mind, and allowing the inner senses to work. And in that inner quiet, we can focus our awareness towards a specific purpose or theme. The Rambam suggests using the first verse of the Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, from Deuteronomy, as a contemplative focus. This is a form of contemplative prayer, first to quiet the mind and emotions, and then to focus the awareness on a specific thought, such as the unity of God. To learn how to focus the entire awareness, all thoughts and feelings, in a one-pointed direction, and then to open their awareness to receive the divine influx. Now, this technique of hitbodedut, we know how it works because we have a lot of contemporary writings of the Rambam, especially in Arabic, in the Islamic world, which describe this hitbodedut. His own son, Rabbi Abraham ben Rambam, wrote a detailed work called A Comprehensive Guide for the Servants of God, where he describes hitbodedut and how you use this meditative technique. We find this also in the writings of 11th and 12th century philosophers in the Islamic world, like Ibn Rushd, who uses Aristotle's definitions to explain what happens to receive this divine influx in hitbodedut. What's even more interesting is that commentaries on Natan Ophir, on Guide of the Perplexed, such as Fodi and Shem Tov, They understand chapter 51 and 52 of part 3 of the guide as being Hanhagat HaMitboded, a guide to the Mitboded, to the meditator, which is really the work of Ibn Bajjah. Now, Ibn Bajjah's student, Ibn Tufil, describes at length how these work, these meditative techniques. So does Al-Razali. These are known meditative techniques of Itbodedut. Well, we discussed this more in our actual meditation, and we have this available in a cassette form with recorded meditations so that we can actually practice this. The Rambam, in line with the psychology of his time, distinguishes between two ways of receiving the divine inspiration. One is through koach hamedaber, the intellectual, cognitive, rational left brain. Here we can see this in our booklet. So you can receive the divine influx and understand it verbally in the left brain, or we can do it through the imagination, koach hamedameh, the intuitive, imaginative faculty. The Rambam says some people only receive the divine influx intellectually. They understand. They might be very wise, but they don't see and they don't feel using the imaginative faculty. There are others who might be great poets and their imaginative faculty are very highly developed. They see things, hear things, but it's not filtered through an intellectual, rational lens. The Rambam says we need to integrate the two together, both the left brain and the right brain, if we want to use modern terminology. So to sum up, our meditation is based on settling the mind, quieting the sensory input, focusing the awareness, inner contemplation, in order to open our awareness to receive inspiration, divine influx and guidance in both the left brain and the right brain. So I look forward to hearing from you, and we'd love to send you this booklet, and we'll be in touch. Bye.